We have about 1 month left. We are hitting the final stretch. We need to get our drafts in. We need to get our exposures up. We need to get some of our exposures down. Let's jump into a BBM and draft. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Sunday Sickos, where we only have, 3, 4 of these left in total before the season kicks off. So we're going to make the most of it. Today, we're going to jump into a BBM draft. I need to get some more drafts done in this tournament. So I figured I'd bring you all along for one of them. Good morning, Al Boogie. Yeah, it's been a fun season. It has been a season of definitely different is what I will say. And I think that's going to be the case going forward as we continue to alter some ADPs on specific types of players. We talked about it all off season. We'll go through this draft. We will see how that's playing out on the boards as well. You know, the Sunday shows are a little bit more laid back, a little bit more casual. We have some fun every Sunday morning doing these drafts. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared so that everybody can see it. We will get set up and then we will join this particular draft. I don't know if this is where I like to be. We'll see. We will see. We'll get some music going, but I'm going to jump right into this Best Ball Mania draft and get it going. I think my exposures are all up to date. Maybe there's one team I haven't uploaded yet, but everything you're going to see is relatively correct. Good morning, Self. Good morning, Best Ball on call. Yeah, we are going to have a good draft. If you want to get in, there's one spot left. So we are now full. We're going to get the music going and we will start here with the music. Looks like we're drafting from the absolute back end. I lied. We have the 5. I totally missed it. We have the 105 in this draft, which is nice. Is this the side of the board I like to be on, or were we doing this for something else? Let's see what we like. We'll keep it here for a second. Is it because I like it like this? We'll move over to the other side. That's what we'll do. You would think that by the time we get to August, I would be happy with how this looks, but never. We are always adjusting, always trying to find the best way that I like to do this. I'm not the focus of this. The draft is the focus of this. So we will update that. You guys know who I am. You don't need to see my name, but I am Rob Coakley. If you do not know who I am, at King Coakley on Twitter. So that's where we are. See CMC go at the 101. No shock there. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do with the 105 because I have my exposures pretty much where I want them. So I don't need to pull Bijan up. Draft Hacker, what's the deal with the penalty box not registering ownership? That is a question to put in our support channel on Discord. I know that Hacker has worked and has said that you need to have the latest update for everything. So if it's not working after you've updated, then throw a question in the support channel and Hacker will get that. He's pretty good about getting right back and figuring those out or helping you guys out when there's something. We're going to grab Jamar Chase, obviously. Jefferson goes over him. We will grab Jamar Chase and not cry about it and get our exposure up even more on Chase. So happy with that. Nice and easy start to this draft, getting Jamar Chase at the 105. And I think the top 8 is going to play out the way the top 8 normally plays out. We're going to see, AJ Brown gets pulled up to the 108. And Kodiak gets the grab Bijan at the 109. The 109. So Let's look at some of our exposures as this draft continues. Then we'll go to the draft board. I'm a little overweight on Puka at 10%, a little underweight at Marvin Harrison at 6%. Jahmyr Gibbs is 1%. That is one team that I want to do something very specific with. Drake London is something that I am not thrilled with only being 10% at. I wanted to be higher, but he is a player that is tough to get higher exposure on because I don't like pulling him up too much and he never drops. So we got to kind of just deal with that a little bit. Jonathan Taylor is obviously a fade for me, as well as Saquon Barkley, who was autoed in a draft, and it makes me absolutely sick. So that's some of the top board exposures. We'll go back to this view. The other Zach said, I saw Jaylen Warren get a hamstring injury. If it's bad, my teams are in some trouble. Yeah, I think we just wait and see why the music just cut out so heavily there. We wait and see what happens with that. I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic that it's nothing major. I haven't seen any updates this morning, but I also haven't relatively looked hard around, if I'm being completely honest, because it is 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Next week will be normal. We will be here at 10 a.m. next Sunday. The following Sunday is going to be a different time. I'm not sure. I think it's going to just be an hour later. I think it's going to be 11 a.m., but we'll cross that bridge next week. Just giving you a quick heads up on that. So we have Jamar Chase. This is a great time to start looking at our combos. We can see that I have a lot of Jamar Chase with Devon Achane at 27%, here. I do want to up my Waddle exposure. I think this is a great time because I've been wanting to get more Cup. I just wasn't particularly fading him on purpose by any means. So I think getting Cup here with Jamar Chase is kind of the play. I don't have any Cup Jamar Chase teams, so let's go ahead and get that done. As you can see, I was taking a heavy stand on Achane and Kyron for a while. I think that they're mispriced, but I don't want it to only be those two. I still have exposure to all the other players that I want to have exposure to, but those two in particular, I was getting pretty heavy on. So that is, listen, if you don't have the draft hacker, not just a sales pitch, but honestly, this is the time to have it if you're drafting heavily, to start seeing this stuff. I like seeing it all year, but this month in particular, this last stretch is when you want to start seeing stuff like that, where like I like Cooper Kupp. He was one of those indirect fades that I had no reason to be fading. It just, the way it sort of played out. So I want to make sure I'm getting more Kupp, even though his price is higher. And I know that I have a lot of Jamar Chase, but I don't have Jamar Chase with Cooper Kupp. And now we've rectified that problem in this particular tournament. I might have them in other tournaments, but I know I don't have those two together in BBM, which is something that I wanted to be able to do. So we're going to be coming back up on the clock here. And we can see that we have a lot of Kyron with Jamar Chase. But again, because our Cup ownership was so low, you can see that we don't really have him paired with any of these guys around here. So we can go any which way on these particular players. Another guy that I don't have Jamar Chase with is Tank Dell. That's something that we can do if I wanted to. God, I kind of want to make the Rams bet, though. I kind of want to go Kyron. Let's do it. I want to get a Kyron Cup team because I don't have one. And let's do it with Jamar Chase. This might go indirectly into a build that I've been wanting to attempt a little more as well. So I didn't go into this draft. Wow, that was not what I wanted to do. I was trying to change the song. This might go in. This might just play directly into that. So we will see. Al is able to get Ward at 103 in a BBM. He'll scoop him as he falls. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I have no problem with that. That's something that I'll be looking at myself. I have so much more. And the guy that I need to down throttle in this last month as he just like skyrockets up boards is Chase Brown, because he is one of my top 3 or 4 exposed players. I think he's my second highest owned running back. So I think I'm okay going forward, not getting Chase Brown and just grabbing the other running backs in the range that he's going at now. I think I packed my Chase Brown bags pretty heavily, and now I can sort of downshift. I'm not saying that I'll never draft him, but I don't think I need to anymore. Maybe we'll comb through some exposures after this. We're not doing a second draft today. This is a 1 draft day. I've got quite a bit to work on. These work trips to New York are murdering me, and I have to go to Nantucket for work tomorrow. So maybe we'll see. The weather is not looking like it's going to cooperate. Something I got to figure out that you guys just don't care about, that I'm just talking about. But that's what we do on these Sunday shows. So, see if anything stands out. Rashee Rice in the 3rd round, huh? Rashee got pulled up to the 3rd. That's a thing that happened in this draft. Which, if there was no legal problems and stuff, even with the Xavier Worthy, this is where he would have been going most of the season, for sure. We do see Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts go in the 4th round here. We're going to be coming up on the clock here in a second. And I think the way that I just want to play this is to just get my Arizona bring back in Trey McBride, because I like Trey McBride a lot. To begin with, I'm at 15%. I'm fine with trying to keep him around that 16% exposure rate. We do have him quite a bit with these players, so it's not mixing up our exposure a ton, but I don't need to do that with every single player. This is a kind of like a core that I like to build through, which as we saw, we didn't have Kyron with Cup and McBride. So like, this is still a different way to play this game for me. Yeah, third round Rice is a thing that happened. And again, it's jarring because of where we've seen Rashee Rice go, but that's another guy that I've still been drafting, but I went very heavy early with Trey McBride. So I just drafted with Rashee Rice and Mahomes stacks, because I just thought it was an absolute advantage to just put your foot down on the gas pedal, get those stacks. And if we look through exposures, we will see that I have a lot of Mahomes Rice stacks all together. And maybe we'll set up a show in the next week or two where we do a draft, and then we look at our draft IQ to kind of look at some of our combos, our heavily things that we have a lot of, things we don't have a lot of, and stuff like that. Maybe I'll do something like that. So we grab Trey McBride. I'm going to get yelled at about my Anthony Richardson exposure, and I'm okay with it. I think Kirk is just an easy pick here. I think it's just easy to click Christian Kirk. But as you can see, when you start drafting certain players, they do... I said I had 24% of him with Cooper Kupp, but we got to remember that I only have 3% Cooper Kupp overall. Smooth Criminal is saying, am I crazy for taking Achane over Barkley and redraft full PPR? I don't think you're crazy. I do like Achane a lot, but I do like him much more in best ball. But it doesn't mean I don't like him in redraft. I just think Achan's got a bigger upside. I'm fine with you taking him over Barkley. I don't know if I would take either though. I think it's probably receiver for me at that point. In redraft. Let's be clear. Redraft. Which, by the way, redraft leagues, home leagues, I've been running the same one since 2009, 2010. Have the same core of people, of course, but you know how people are. They come and go, and I lost a player this year, and it has been harder than ever to fill a redraft spot. Morning, Carlos. We did this before. Just pretend I said it right. Thank you, Al. Yeah, throw that like up there if you're watching. And we're going to be coming back on the clock. We are not doing the build that I was talking about, which I'm fine with. Might do a modified version of it, though. I think I just want... we're getting Kyler up to the 6th round, which is where I thought he should have gone the whole time. Thought he should have been up here. But I think Kyler just makes this team the way I want it to be. So I'm just going to do it. We're just going to grab Kyler here to get the stack with Trey McBride and have him with Cooper Kupp and Kyron for our Week 17 game. I think there's enough that'll come back. I'm pulling him up a little bit. I know the Marvin Harrison drafter is on the other side of the board, but this is the time where people are going to start pulling. We're going to start pulling people up. Yeah, I would take Puka over both of those running backs, personally. Especially in full PPR. I think Puka's an easy click over those two. That is just my opinion, though. But anyways, redraft leagues, super duper hard to... I haven't been able to fill that spot. It's not even like a crazy league. It's not a keeper league. There's no keepers. It's a $205 entry with a $50 weekly payout. Just pretty standard 10-team league. And it's a 10-team league just because that's what it was at the inception. Oh my God, 14 years ago, 15 years ago. So filling that spot has been hard. I've not been able to do it yet. And we have the draft in a few weeks, so gonna have to figure that out. Gonna have to figure that out at some point. I am upset about my Brian Thomas exposure. I do wish I had a little bit more of him before he started going higher. That is something that would have been in my best interest, probably. So our round 2 pick was Cooper Kupp. I think we're going to do a bully tight end. I haven't done one of these in quite a while, but I think it makes sense for this team. I think we can build through it. I have been trying to get more Jameson Williams, but I think with having Kirk, Ingram makes a lot of sense here. So I think that's what I want to do. Get McBride and Ingram. I know we're done at tight end now, but I'm okay with it in the context of the board. Generally, we want more wide receivers at this point, but I think just the way the board's fallen, I'm okay with the way the team is playing out at the moment. How do my teams on drafters look? So I did a lot of the $2 ones, and I'd have to look at it. I haven't gone back and gandered at some of my teams on drafters, but it'd be fun to dive into some of those. It's always fun to go back. Like last week, I think so I'll leave it up to the chat. We can either, after this draft for like 5 minutes, we can either look at my exposures at the moment, or we can look at some of my first BBM teams from the season. So you guys can make that choice in the chat. vote on that. We'll tally it up and see what you want to look at after this draft. Or vote for nothing. Say you want me to get the fuck off your TV screen or computer screen or phone screen or whatever screen. And we will do that too. I think to an extent, Goofy. Like, I mean, depends on your team that you're building. Like that's such a. We're talking in such a. I'll read Goofy's comment in a second. Sometimes just talking in too broad of terms, and I'm not pointing you out specifically. I'm just saying that we say these broad statements a lot in fantasy football, and context is always king. To be fair. Sorry, I'm trying to evaluate what we got going on here. See Chase Brown go. I think I want to play this. God, do we want to get Hopkins with the injury? I know he's hurt, but let's grab Hopkins for late season. I think I want to play it that way. I haven't been grabbing a ton of them as he's fallen, but I think for a best ball team, DeAndre Hopkins is fine, especially with our Jags exposure at this point. Thank you, Scott. Oh, you're talking to Go Birds. I thought you were talking about my Chase Brown exposure. You're helping me to flatten that out, but you were not talking to me. Boofy's comment was, waiting on RB in redraft leagues might be a mistake. I mean, guys like Neighbors and Tank are falling in regular leagues, which I don't disagree with. I just think that's too broad of a statement, and it's just, I think it's fine depending on your build. It always depends on your build. Sure, you can wait on them, but what are you fortifying in order to make them fall? So, like, it's not the same as 5 years ago, even in redraft leagues. Oh man, we draft Tony Pollard quite a lot when we have Jamar Chase. So I am glad that I grabbed DeAndre Hopkins on this team. I think it makes a ton of sense. That's the way we played it. I want more Jonathan Brooks, maybe. But I also want more Brian Robinson. And although I have 18% Brian Robinson, my exposures with the players I have him with are sort of flat. Whereas if you look at Javonte Williams, I have grabbed Javonte Williams a shit ton with Kyler Murray, which is a giant red flag at this moment, and a ton. Well, the Cooper Cup one doesn't bother me as much, but those are things I'm trying to make sure that I'm aware of. Scott says, so funny how those random combos happen without trying. Exactly. And I can't draft every single team on the desktop, obviously. So that is happening sometimes just because I'm drafting mobily, especially, again, I'm traveling for work. So having to draft on my phone sometimes when I am able to draft is causing some of that to occur. So when I am on the desktop, those are things that I try to make mental notes of, right? Where I know that I like Javonte a lot. I'm fine with being overweight on him, but I need to make sure I don't draft Javonte with Kyler Murray anymore. Like, just does not need to happen again. So in my brain, it's, you have Kyler Murray, you're not drafting Javonte Williams. So let's make sure we know that for sure. You have Jamar Chase. Let's try to make sure we don't draft Tony Pollard with Jamar Chase again, because you're not doing it on purpose. right? Yeah, they play week 15, but we're not doing a week 15 in our head correlation at all. So let's make sure that we're not doing that particular move in the future. Just the things we need to be looking at. Scott is asking, what else do you do that you travel so much? So I do a lot of other things that causes me to travel. My main job is I work doing engineering surveys. So I've had to go to New York City way too much in the last 2 months. Every other week, I only have one of those trips left, thank God. Content wise, I do a show about ghosts, which is jarringly different. You can see my ghost in the background. Hometown Ghost Stories, and we travel 4 to 5 times a year for that. Plus, we're hosting events this year and stuff. So it's a lot of travel for me, and we are looking for balancing a little bit more. All right, so we are going to grab Trevor Lawrence to complete our double stack. Interesting, because I do not have a Trevor Lawrence Kyler Murray combination yet. So I have not played 2 game stacks that I like together in that fashion. So getting a Trevor Lawrence Kyler team, I think is good because I wanted it. I know we've given up a lot of draft capital with quarterbacks and tight ends in this draft, but we are essentially just hitting the other spots going forward. So that is what I do on the side. I guess full time and stuff. But yeah, I got to go to Nantucket this week. We just have this big project that we're finishing up, and if it goes well, we get to do the same project again on a national scale for the next 10 years. So that means even more traveling. So hit the like button, buy the Draft Hacker, so that I can do this full time. So I'm not in New York City. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I will ever go work in New York City again after this particular project's done. New York City feels like it's great to go visit for like 3 days, but trying to work in the city is not fun. Not fun at all. And I didn't even have the worst experience. One of my coworkers got their truck towed, which was a freaking nightmare for them. Just an absolute nightmare. All right, we are coming back on the clock here in a second. Got to see what Anthony Bourdain's going to do. He grabs Jacoby Myers. We're getting a falling Rashid Shaheed, who I do like, and we do not have Rashid Shaheed at all. Even though we're 9%, we're overweight Jamar Chase. Cooper Kupp is underweight, so we understand not having those two together. But getting Rashid Shaheed here with Jamar Chase when I don't have them together feels pretty good. I know he's sidelined at practice, but that's fine. He's our 5th wide out here. I think we're going to grab him. I know we're going to grab him. We do grab him. Scott says he sees no advantages in New York City other than partying there. What I can tell you about New York City is once you are there, and there are a lot of negatives, but once you are in New York City, it is one of the most convenient places to be because anything you need at any time is available. And I will give New York City this. They have the best mixture of food. Now, there's other places that obviously have a specialized version of something that is better there, but you are going to get your best overall food choices in a city like New York City. You just get really great food. I mean, obviously everyone knows the pizza, but if you don't follow the food channel in the Spike Week Discord, what I will say, what they are, I know they're obviously known for them, but what I think that gets lost a lot is New York City bagels are better than anywhere else on the planet. It is jarringly different. A New York City bagel from like an actual bagel place is jarringly different than anywhere else you will get a bagel. And it's not close. Like pizza, New York City has really good pizza. I got pizza from one of the best pizza places there. It's really good. I'm still very partial to New England South Shore bar pizza a bit. But New York City pizza is really good. I need to do the New Haven thing. I haven't done the New Haven thing yet, which is supposed to be really good. But you can get, I want to say you can get good pizza other places. You can get good pizza other places. There are parts of the country that your pizza is just shit, to be completely honest. But New York City bagels, it's not even close. I'm referring to all of New York City, but I have been doing Manhattan lately. Manhattan has been where I've been working lately. Brooklyn's like fine. Queens is okay. But I don't like New York City as a whole in general. Just my personal taste. Not for me. When I was working upstate New York, much better. That's my speed. I'm sure Jersey is close or the same. You're kind of dealing with the same thing there. So I'm sure that you can get that same thing right over in Jersey as well. But I'm just saying that general area, when you get those bagels, it's not just the bagel, it's the way they have the fresh cream cheese. And Jesus, is some of those cream cheeses, like the special cream cheeses that they have, just so goddamn good. Just so damn good. The regular cream cheese, amazing. I did a strawberry cream cheese that had actual strawberries in it this time, and I just did that on a plain bagel. And my God, was that amazing. And I even found a place that did a chocolate chip cream cheese. And I'm a very big chocolate guy. And just another phenomenal mixture. Bagels here are like whatever. Like bagels here are just standard. I'm in the Boston area. And we obviously have Dunks, which Dunks is shit, to be honest. But we all just know Dunks, and it is a thing, and whatever. I'll have to try the Montreal ones, GTO. I have a hard time believing that anything is close to a New York bagel, though. I just cannot fathom that anything is even close to the level. Just close to the level at all of a New York bagel. All right, we are coming up on the clock here. We have a 2-3-5-2 build at the moment. We really wanted J.K. Dobbins there. I'm a little upset that he got snagged. I want Ray Davis as my fourth running back here. Heavy on Ray Davis. I do like him quite a bit. And I sort of think we can build the other wide receivers positions better later in the draft. So a 2-4-5-2 build right now. Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence, Kyron Williams, Brian Robinson, Ty Chandler, Ray Davis, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashid Shaheed, Trey McBride, Evan Ingram. So we got a double stack for Jacksonville with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, of course, with Trevor Lawrence, a bring back of DeAndre Hopkins. And we went with a single stack of Kyler Murray with Trey McBride, and we have Kyron and Cooper Kupp as bringbacks. Do you like the way the team's turning out at the moment? That is what we've built so far. Now, I haven't gotten everything I like to get in drafts. Obviously, we got no Chiefs wide receivers in this draft. We did see Rashee Rice go a little bit early, made that a little bit more difficult to occur. And I just like taking Kirk over Xavier Worthy in the fifth at the moment, especially with some of the Xavier Worthy teams that I've already drafted. Now, as we say that, I usually like to get some sort of the Atlanta offense if possible, which is tougher to do than to say. And I don't have any Green Bay pieces at the moment, which is another thing I usually like to have. But other than all those things, I think the team is shaping out quite well. Yeah, I haven't done the bacon, egg, and cheese on a New York City bagel yet, which I'm sure is amazing. Breakfast sandwiches have not been sitting right with me in general lately, even from a place that is really good close to me. I haven't been able to eat them, and it's been more like forcing them down. That's a me thing more than anything. Yeah, Worthy's been shooting up the boards already. I think that most people are going to want to play that offense through Kelsey, Rice, Worthy. Hollywood's going to fall a bit, which is when I'll start grabbing some more Hollywood. I don't have a ton, even though I have a ton of my home stacks. Have I ever had a colache? I don't think so. What is that? What is that, and where do I get it? And what are my next trips coming up? After my next 2 picks, we'll talk about those because it's Sunday and we just have fun on the Sunday show as we draft. But we're coming back up on the clock. And I think Mario Douglas makes sense for this team. He's a fine pick here. So Kalache are basically pigs in a blanket, says the other Zach. And then Carl's adds, yeah, it's like a sweet roll type thing. With filling inside, they have bacon, egg, and cheese ones. Barbecue brisket. Where do I get them? Where do I find these? Are they in New York? Is that something I should be looking for? Let me know. Let me know where I get those. Because if they're in New York, I'm in Manhattan again, not this week, but the following week, and I will seek one out if that is where I'm supposed to be getting those. Or are you just telling me something that I have no access to? All right. Polish markets will have them. I know a Polish girl. I will ask her. I'll ask her if she knows about these. All right. He's going to be all right. Which is a great joke from Arrested Development. Sometimes I show my age. Arrested Development, top 3 comedy show of all time. Oh, it's St. Louis. But I am the KY, which is... Come on, Bourdain. You're taking Dortch there? What are we doing? What an absolute joke. Absolute joke there. All right, we'll grab Marshawn Lloyd, who we have a lot of. I've been trying to shift down a bit on him, but we'll grab him. We were going to grab Dortch for the double. Mr. Papinski is 100% Polish and has never heard of these kolaches. We have a argument breaking out. They have them in South Texas, but I do think they are more of a southern thing. Look up the Kolache factory. Okay, now you're asking me to do way too much work to get one of these kolaches that I'm probably saying wrong. Also, so my next trips, let's see. Obviously, I got New York again, as I've brought up, and our next ghost investigation is actually a couple towns away from me. But then in September, we are going to New Orleans for like 4 days at the end of September. which is pretty cool. Now, I will take food recommendations from New Orleans, but I will stress that I grew up, I was born in the Boston area. I moved to Mississippi when I was 8, which is like an hour and a half from New Orleans. And then we moved back when I was 15. So I am familiar with the area, but I will take food suggestions. For some reason, New Orleans in particular, when you tell people you're going to New Orleans, they feel like you've never been. There's no chance you could have been there before in your entire life. And Comedy is asking me, do I have a certain ownership percentage range you want on each player, or is it player dependent? I tend to have a smooth exposure across the board. Having a smooth exposure across the board is like, okay, but it is not the way I will ever play this game. I'm very structure oriented for the most part, but I also have heavy player stands and heavy player fades. So that is the way I play the game. So you will see heavy player exposures. You also see 0% on some guys, which are usually designed, but sometimes not. So famously, my first round fades would make some people vomit, where I am fading. We'll talk about it in a second. We'd love to be fading everybody on the board right now, because Jesus, is this gross. You know what we're going to do? We're going to grab Tank Bigsby, because he's the player that I want the most out of all these guys at the moment. He makes most sense for our team. We go heavy with this Jacksonville stack, so we'll get him. And I'm going to be honest, at this point, I need to get the quarterbacks and tight ends out of my face so that I can figure out what I want to do. The league is saying any DraftKings drafts left to do. I mean, I do have DraftKings drafts to do, but I won't be doing any this morning. Perhaps next week. I also want to do a Sunday stream where we do a BBM, a DraftKings, and a Drafters. That might be next week. I don't know. I'm thinking about when I want to do that. That might be next Sunday. Not 100% on that, so don't quote me. Don't expect it at the moment. Oh, food takes will always derail a chat. Food takes are... Doesn't matter what genre you're streaming in, you start bringing up food, it will derail everything. All right, so we're at 2662 at the moment. At this point, I actually think we're kind of all set at... I want Troy Franklin. I still feel good about Troy Franklin, so I think we're going to grab him. I don't think I need another running back on this team. Kyron, Brian Robinson, Ty Chandler, Ray Davis, Marshawn Lloyd, Tank Bigsby feels fine with Kyron anchoring that. Obviously, Kyler and Trevor Lawrence are fine for quarterbacks. We double bullied with Trey McBride and Evan Ingram. Wide receivers: Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashid Shaheed, Demario Douglas, Troy Franklin. So I think another wide out is probably how we're going to play this when we get back on the clock here. Do my player takes vary from site to site? Occasionally. This year's been a little different. It's been harder in the past. Like, Deontay Johnson really stands out as a player that I only drafted on DraftKings last year. I'm kind of fading him across the board this particular year. Oh, who am I fading in the first round? So I am fading Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill in the first round. And I fully understand that those are great players. I understand how, why, when they can bury me. But I like to take first round stands for very particular reasons. I like to be overweight the field on multiple guys in the first round, and the only way to do that a lot of times is to make that jarring stand. I don't do it for content. If I stop doing content, I will still draft the same way, right? So Christian McCaffrey getting older. Christian McCaffrey's a freak. Low Christian McCaffrey. Understand that he could bury me. Tyreek Hill also getting older. So I just made an age bet more than anything on those two guys, and it's allowed me to up my exposure on a first round player significantly. So I'm overweight Jamar Chase. I'm heavily overweight Bijan. I'm overweight Justin Jefferson. I'm overweight a lot of these guys. So it's something that I do. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I don't tell anybody how to draft, but there is a very particular reason I do it. I don't think I need to force another Arizona wide receiver at this point in the draft. So I think I'm going to make my last pick a pick in honor of my good friend, Lord Reeves, who is big on Jalen Hyatt this year. So let's go ahead and go grab Jalen Hyatt. That is going to be the team. Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence. Those are stacks. And Kyron Williams, Brian Robinson, Ty Chandler, Ray Davis, Marshawn Lloyd, Tank Bigsby, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, Rashid Shaheed, Demario Douglas, Troy Franklin, Jalen Hyatt, Trey McBride, Evan Ingram. I think this team is fine. I like it. It's not my favorite team that I've drafted, but I also think it shows the perils of drafting the bully tight end this year at this point in the draft, more so than it did early in the year. Sauce the 2 spot. Hates his team. You want me to sauce somebody? You want me to sauce someone named Rob? God. All right. Let's let the draft finish. We'll sauce the team and then we'll look at it. While we sauce the 102 here. Afterwards, do you guys want to see exposures, or do you guys want to see some early BBM teams? God, my own name. I mean, I don't even know if I have to go further than quarterbacks. You're drafting a third quarterback with Lamar Jackson? What are we doing? What is the purpose of this? Don't understand. If it's because of the bye week thing with Drake May, I would say have some balls. Try to advance the Lamar Drake May team. Right? Then you went Joe Mixon, Rashad White, Gus Edwards, Antonio Gibson, Keaton Mitchell. I don't hate it. Feels light. I think this is where you lose your pick, is that extra quarterback should be a running back. CD Neighbors, Ayuk, Curtis Samuel, the worst pick on the board, Curtis Samuel, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Polk, Michael Wilson, Josh Downs, love Josh Downs still, Mark Andrews, and Tyler Conklin. I think it's overall fine. I just think there's some scared approaches here, the main one being this 3 quarterback thing. If you want Lamar Drake May, just draft Lamar Drake May. Thanks, Scott. We're not done. This isn't the last draft, so hopefully we see you at some more. All right, Self, where are you? There you are. You went Burrow, Goff, Knicks, Najee, Javonte Williams, Zach Charbonnet, Braylon Allen, Jordan Mason. I like the running backs quite a bit. I still think this is a pussy move to do Burrow. If you're going to do Burrow, if you're going to invest that draft capital in Burrow and Goff, I don't think you need a third quarterback. I just don't, personally. You went Marvin Harrison, Drake London, T. Higgins, Roma Dunze, Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, Jordan Whittington, Jalen Naylor, Sam Laporta, and Noah Fant. So I don't have much to sauce. I love this running back range. This, like, names don't matter here. I think going 5 here is very smart, where other people would be too scared to do that. I don't think you need a third quarterback, but again, like, it's not bad now that I'm looking at the team as a whole. The team's fine. taking the shots on Whittington. But maybe we can add a ninth wide. Maybe this is the perfect team to add the ninth wide receiver on. If we're going to take these Whittington nailer shots, right? Then maybe we should be just getting rid of Bo Nix and adding that ninth wide out. It's probably the way I would have played it. Laporta with Fant, obviously fine. Um, I know it's tough to add a second Detroit wide receiver at this point. It just, I'm not a 3 QB guy unless I'm absolutely boxed out. What about third QB with Lamar and DK in round 20? Like, again, who? You're already shooting for upside with Lamar. I mean, like, you can. I'm not saying you can't do it. Obviously, you can do it, but I'd rather just try to hit on another running back or wide receiver or hell, even a third tight end at that point. So let's see. Somebody wanted to see exposure. Somebody wanted to see early BBM. Highest week 17 exposure. We'll do highest week 17 exposure another time. I want to do something with draft IQ at some point. Someone's fine with either. Ba 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 ba. What's my thoughts on double elite quarterback? I think that we've missed the window on that. I think it would have been better to do that earlier in the draft season. And I've come up with a theory on that we'll talk about at some point. And actually, you kind of saw it. Why did I click on champions? Now I've ruined everything. All right, I've seen more about exposure, so let's just look at exposures then. So our highest exposures right now are Zach Charbonnet at 32%, Devontae Walker, Chase Brown, Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irving, Rashee Rice, Jaden Reed. And what we'll do is we will filter this by just BBM. And we'll just look at our BBM exposures. So I've done 82 BBMs at this point. Like I said, I don't think I'm getting to 150 this year. Did not plan that out. Let's go position by position. We have 20% Patrick Mahomes. Did a lot of Patrick Mahomes drafts early, based on stuff I want to do with Rashee Rice. I thought it was going to be a huge value. Very glad I did that. I have a lot of Jaden Daniels. I have a lot of Jordan Love, Justin Fields, Lamar, Kyler's overweight, Josh Allen's overweight. So as you can see, I sort of have a relative style here of the way I like to draft quarterbacks. I like to have an elite, and I know that's not everybody's preference, but I am someone that likes to have an elite. So Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence are all overweight. And then we are pretty close to the field on Levis, Baker, Deshaun Watson. Jalen Hurts, I've wanted to get up a bit. So I'm working on that. I'd like to get more Dak. Dak is a little tough, and I'm probably a little too low on Stroud. But everybody else, I'm sort of fine being this heavily underweight on. I'm okay with it. I mean, maybe I want more Caleb Williams. Joe Burrow's I think Joe Burrow's the toughest quarterback to draft on the board overall. I think he goes in a really tough range, and I think you have to have one of two players in order to do it. So I'm fine. Like you can't always get everything, especially when you're drafting quarterbacks at the front end. It makes some of those guys a little harder to get. When I'm drafting Lamar and Mahomes and Kyler and Josh Allen, at a relatively high clip, it makes those guys a little bit tougher to draft, specifically Joe Burrow. So again, can't have everything all the time. I'd like to have more Burrow overall, but I understand why I don't have him. So sometimes understanding the why makes sense. Caleb, I know I'm going to get some shit for that one. I'm okay with it overall. Like, I have a lot of Bears in general, so I'm okay with it. I have the Caleb bet the other way. When we're looking at running back, you can see I went heavy on Chase Brown. I'm at 28% on Chase Brown and BBM, also 28% at Bijan. I think this is one edge that I'm looking to just absolutely grind. I want to stay around 30% on Bijan. 25 to 30% is where I'm looking to be. I think Kyron's a value in the third, so I've been grabbing a lot of him. But you can kind of see that my exposures are very concentrated on early round running backs, like, and then you don't see them on any others on my board. I agree, Zach. I'm not huge on rookie QBs in general unless they have running upside, which is why Jaden Daniels is a little heavier for me than I normally would draft a rookie. But back to the early round stuff, you see Bijan, you see Kyron, you see Devon Achane up here. You don't see any of the other early round guys. I've been very specific about the way I've drafted my running backs. So it's Chase Brown, Bijan, Zach Charbonnet, Kyron, Bucky Irving, Ray Davis, Tank Bigsby. I've been drafting all along, which I feel really good about in terms of what that team's doing. They just didn't bring anybody in. I thought Tank was good contingent upside. Seems to be better this year. I'm not saying it's going to hit. It's just something that I was taking a good amount of early in drafts, and now he's moving up the board. So I'm happy to be overweight on him. Achane, I'm at 18%. Javonte Williams is a guy that I am very much into. Brian Robinson. Aaron Jones is a guy that I like. I don't want to be much higher than this with Aaron Jones. So I'm trying to keep that in check a bit. So that's where we are at the running back exposures. Wide receiver, I have a lot of Luke McCaffrey, and that is because I have a lot of Jaden Daniels, but I also have a lot of Bijan, and he's cheap, and it's whatever. But after that, you see that Rashee Rice is my second or tied for my highest wide receiver here at 26.8%. I am a Jaden Reed believer. I was a Josh Downs believer. I still like Josh Downs. My heavy Lamar exposure has gotten me Devontae Walker, but I'm pretty happy overall. We're at 18% with Chris Olave, Xavier Worthy, 17% on Nico. Got a good amount of mixture. We're at 14% Jamar Chase. That's some of the first round stuff I am talking about. Am I going to max BBM? I did not anticipate traveling for work as much as I have this year, so it has been a little bit tougher for me to draft. And I don't like to draft unless I am in the mood to draft. So I've learned that lesson in years past. So I don't think I'm going to max. I'll hit over 100 teams, but I don't think I'll hit 150. I'm also drafting on other sites. So, that money starts to add up as well. It's a lot easier to max on underdog if you're only playing underdog, which is totally fine if that's the way you want to do it. But I'm playing across all three sites, so my money's sort of spread out. I don't feel the need to have to max. I've maxed it the last 2 years. I don't feel like I need to max it, to be honest. If I do, I do. But I'm not like I have to make sure I draft, another 68 teams. If I don't get it, I don't get it. If I get it, cool. Dortch, I'm a bit overweight on. I mean, you can see a lot of these guys I'm pretty overweight on. I'm a little overweight on CD. He's a bit harder to be overweight on versus the rest of the first rounders. Let's just look at some of the first rounders. Jefferson, I'm at 9.8. Might want to get that up a little bit. Who else is a first one? Puka, 9.8. Garrett Wilson, we're at 6.1. We're a little underweight on him. I think that's just more of a draft slot thing. I think I haven't been pulling a lot up above Garrett Wilson. AJ Brown, we're at 8.5. So I feel pretty good about the receivers. Tight end, Freiermuth, I'm fine with being my highest. Him and McBride are my two highest. Evan Ingram's up there. Jawan Johnson, I thought was a steal once he took the early injury. I was fine with grabbing him. Late, I thought that Mark Andrews would be up here. He's only at 8.5%. That actually shocks me because I feel like I draft Mark Andrews a lot. So only being at 8.5 on Mark Andrews feels weird. We're at 13.4 on Kyle. So I think overall, some of these exposures I'm fine with. I'd like to get Kittle up. I definitely want to get Andrews up. This is the exposure I'm most thrown by right now because I feel like I click Mark Andrews quite a bit. And I might be clicking him in a lot of other tournaments, right? And just somehow this tournament, he's not getting clicked as much as I thought he was. I'd like to get some Kincaid up a little bit more as well. Laporta, I'm fine with this 5% number. I don't think I want to drop above it too much, but I'd like to get up. Also looks like I'm a lot more concentrated on my tight ends and fading more players than others, maybe based on just so few names. Yeah, so this is also Carl's brings up a great point. He wished he had invested in some of the single entry stuff on Underdog instead of all BBM. I like single entry and 3 entry stuff quite a bit myself. So I'll tell you what, let's look at my $101 teams. I think there's only 2 of them. Let's take that off. Why can't I click it? We'll just look at my $200 teams that we drafted in the Dalmatian. Meant to get a third and we didn't. So for the two, these were $100 3 max tournament, the Dalmatian. We went Lamar and Levis. We got Bijan, which is shocking. Ramondre, Chase Brown, Marshawn Lloyd, Jaleel McLaughlin, Tank Bigsby. These were drafted a while back too. Nico, Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, JSN, Rashid Shaheed, Josh Downs, Roman Wilson, Malik Washington, Mark Andrews, and Cade Otton. So we get that Baltimore super stack, right? We get Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, and Lamar in this $100. I like that a lot to go with Bijan. No Houston bring back, which, is what it is. You can't always get it. And here is a Joe Burrow team for another $100, which is nice to have Richardson on a high stakes team when I'm so underweight him everywhere else. But it's Anthony Richardson, Joe Burrow, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, Bucky Irving. Actually fine with that 5-pack. I think that's a fine 5. We did a Puka Marvin Harrison stack from the 9 and the 16. So probably a little more unique in this tournament, I would say, than it is at the moment. T. Higgins, Xavier Leggett. Wow, what happened with this team? What did I do? We went double elite tight end, and then we just poured on late round wide receivers. Looked like that went down. I don't know. I'd like to go back and see what I was doing in this draft because this is a strategy that I've wanted to implement more of, but I don't know if I like the way that this one turned out. Justin Jefferson, I was a bit underweight. Not underweight in terms of, I think I was at like 10%, 12%. I'll just look. We can just look. We're here. And then we're going to get out of here. We do have some eliminators going on. I'm doing 1 weekly winners. I decided to do 1 weekly winners and go from there. Exposure. Let's for Justice Jefferson. I am underweight, 7.4%. So I need to get my Justin Jefferson up. JJ McCarthy. I was not drafting McCarthy. My overall JJ McCarthy ownership is 4%. And I think that's 3 BBM teams. And then just like some other shit. But I was not a big JJ McCarthy guy overall. So I wasn't drafting him. I have Bowers. I've been drafting a good amount of Bowers. I'm at 5.7 overall. I think that's higher in BBM. So 6.1. Maybe I need more Bowers. I'm like okay being at 8%. I'll probably end up 8% Bowers. I don't care to be overweight Bowers. I know he's like a big stand for some people, but I'm fine with just being I'm not into the Raiders overall. So anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this week's show. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing more drafts. We just had the Legendary Sickos drop with Pat Carrain. They had Rich Rebar on. Great show to go listen to, especially if you're looking for something that's long form. Until next time, I will catch you guys later. Peace. Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date. That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.